And welcome back from me, Alan Biggs, to the sporting flavour that is every Thursday's Talking Sheffield here on Sheffield Live TV. Hope you were with us for the first half. If you weren't, you can watch it all back when this show is repeated at 11 o'clock tonight with Uriah Rennie, with James Gregg, who joins us for the second half to round up the sporting action around the Sheffield area, and with our guest in this half. We made a half-time substitution, thanks to Alan Barker for the first half, and Simon Walkden has come on for the second half, which is longer actually than the first half. So you're right,
oh, well,
like 25 minutes.
There's a theme there with what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the longest day run. Now, Simon is a distance runner, and when we say distance, we're talking, what's the most you've ever run?
46 miles is the most. Done a few sort of 40 and above over the Peak District mainly. 12 marathons, so yeah, I'm not very fast, so I like to go long distances because it means I can get away with it a bit easier. And it also gets me away from the family for a few hours as well, so, you know.
More than a few hours.
More than a few hours, yeah.
The longest day run, Simon's website encourages people to run as far as they can on June the 20th or 21st. Yeah. To clock up huge numbers of miles. Yeah, you're intending to do what?
We're doing 40 across the Peak District, that's the plan. But actually, it's not just about long distance. We're really keen for people that have never run before to do 1 mile, or people that have never run more than 5 miles to do 7 miles. So it's really an inclusive thing. Excellent. Anybody in the world, anywhere, any time of day they want to do it. They've got a 24-hour period, and all they ask them to do is just go on, register, log their miles, take part, raise money for charity, whatever they want to do. So yeah, to include everyone.
I've yet to take part in this, but I'm always recovering at this time of year from doing several half.
That's why I said 1 mile, Alan. So you can actually just
to include them, all inclusive. You used to go running every morning, didn't you?
Yes. When I used to do sort of contact sports and boxing, I used to go running. I really loved it, and you know, Sheffield's a great place to run. Although I have to say,
bit hilly.
If you like hills,
yeah. The thing that 24 hours is a long way. I still wouldn't be out of Sheffield though in 24 hours.
You don't have to run for the whole 24. You just have that period to do as many as you want to.
As many as you can or want to. Okay, right, we'll come to more of that and more on Yuri's career after we've heard from James. What's going on this week?
Well, apart from me and you wearing matching jackets tonight, not a lot really in the local area.
Yeah. I mean, does that make you an old fuddy-duddy like me, or does that make me suddenly trendy?
I think that makes you extremely trendy.
Does it?
Follow the trend of myself, you see, Alan. Yeah, of course it does.
I'm just but you're wearing better trousers than me, aren't you?
I wouldn't say better.
Jeans, Too hot for me wearing jeans in this world. Imagine these flannels of it. What are we bloody talking about? Get on with it.
No worries, I will do, of course. Of course, Monday was a momentous day for world football, but we'll come on to that at the end. We'll talk Yorkshire League cricket first of all. Billy Root hit a 67 off 61 balls as Sheffield Collegiate lost to Rotherham Town at the weekend. That was down to a record third wicket partnership of 295 to set a total of 365. A massive team score on a Saturday. Collegiate fell 155 runs short for them, but they're still in the top half of the table. Sheffield United Cricket Club recorded their first victory of the season as well, so that's a really good result for them, and they take on Driffield on Saturday. The Sheffield Collegiate take on Chesterfield in the national knockout. That'll be a massive game there, and I think there'll be a lot watching. It's at Chesterfield's ground, so it'll be a fantastic occasion there.
Queen's Park, right?
Yeah, that's
Queen's
right.
Park.
Yeah, county ground, and I'm sure there'll be quite a few there watching as well. We'll move on to rugby league. Usually in a rugby league game, if you won a game by over 40 points, that'd satisfy any coach, but not Sheffield Eagles' Mark Aston. He says that it wasn't a complete 80-minute performance as the Eagles won last weekend. He'll be looking for confirmation of the improvements they've made over the last 2 weeks as they travel to play against Batley Bulldogs this weekend at the Foxes Biscuit Stadium. What a name for a stadium that is. Is that the best named stadium you've ever heard of?
Apart from Kit Kat Crescent. Bootham Crescent was renamed Kit Kat Crescent, York City a few years ago.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that takes the biscuit, mate.
Yeah, that takes the biscuit. That was a worse pun than what I'd got written down on here.
What have you got written down?
I said it was hopefully going to be a tasty display, but I think that's probably better.
Because yours is a bit more original than mine.
We'll stick with that one. A good week for Matthew Fitzpatrick last week. We were speaking about him, we were keeping an eye down on his progress at the Irish Open last week. 30,000 people per day. That's more than the actual British Open itself. The Irish just love their golf, so he thrived in front of those fantastic crowds there. And also inclement weather. He finished tied 8th. 63,000 euros he picked up, and also, more importantly, a barrel load of confidence heading into this week's Nordea Masters in Malmo in Sweden.
I thought you were going to say a barrow load of Thornbridge ales there for a minute. Oh, by the way,
is that a spoiler?
Yeah, I had to get that in because he works for Thornbridge.
Oh, right. Okay.
I mentioned it myself.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
is that going to be worth a?
Be worth, yeah.
Worth a few bottles, right?
To be fair,
A few bottles of chai pour, yeah.
How's that sound? And finally, as I already mentioned at the start of the roundup, Monday, massive day for world football. Of course, Nigel Adkins was named Sheffield United manager, and I heard the Swiss bloke retired as well. But more importantly, what a great appointment that is at Bramall Lane.
It is. I think we'll call it a draw because I was scathing of the decision to sack Nigel Clough, and nothing will convince me that that was fair or just. But against that, Sheffield United, in my view, have made the best possible appointment, and well done to them on that. It makes perfect sense.
Absolutely. I mean, he's got a great record with Southampton, with Scunthorpe, with Reading, and he's certainly, I think, the fans' choice on that one. So hopefully, see how that one progresses.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't find fault with it. You'll follow. You've never really been allowed to comment about clubs, have you? Really, Uriah? No. You live in Sheffield. You must see what goes on and think, "Oh, that's a good move," or "Can't understand why they've done that."
Well, yeah, I have to say that I like Sheffield to do well, not just the football, but everybody. But I think with Nigel Atkins, what you've got two for the price of one, really, as a physio and a manager. But he has done his own work, and he has sort of served the apprentice from the lower down and coming through. When I used to go to Scunthorpe, it was brilliant. I mean, certainly the officials will look forward to coming to Bramall Lane because certainly, he's not aggressive or offensive. He's a footballing person, which should only bode well for Sheffield United.
He is a gentleman, from my experience of interviewing him after games. He behaves impeccably. And so that's a good point. So have the referees on his side.
He also recites poetry as well, doesn't he, in his post-match press conferences? The man in the glass. Have you seen that when he was at Southampton?
I've never heard him recite it in a press conference.
Very, very good. It was a post-match interview. I think I shared it on my Twitter account the other day. I said I like a manager who recites poetry in his post-match. Very good, very interesting guy, and articulate and astute as well.
Someone else who used to do that was Colin Murphy at Lincoln.
Oh, he was a bit balmy. A bit.
Ever the diplomat.
In the nicest possible way, Colin, if you're watching.
I still have to go to Lincoln. He's good. He comes and sits with me there when I go there. He's a good lad. He's a good, but he was certainly liked his poetry in the early days when I started refereeing. I used to sort of.
Howard Wilkinson did, because he had on the wall, and a lot of football managers swear by the Rudyard Kipling poem "If." And I know in his time at Sheffield Wednesday, Howard had that framed on the wall there. And it doesn't. I would imagine that should be the referee's poem as well, because you're having to treat triumph and disaster just the same.
But I would have gone for something like I did it my way.
Nick Faldo sung that when he won the British Open, didn't he, in 1987 at Muirfield. It's also when he thanked the press from the heart of his bottom. That's right.
Very good. I don't know where we're going with this conversation.
A bit of golf.
It's like a runaway train this way. Uriah, before we come back to Simon and Manchester United supporter here, and whether he's got any grievances
too well in
with
Sheffield, though, is it?
What's been your coping mechanism over the years? Because you always blanked the media. Without, I'm not sure it wasn't personal, but you blanked us, and yet you had to cope with maybe 2-3 days of raging headlines, slamming you. You've made a decision that might not be a mistake, but people think it is, and you're being highlighted on Match of the Day on TV. What was your coping mechanism for that then, as you drove away from the ground?
Well, you've got to believe in your own ability firstly, and when you referee Plymouth, then you make a decision and maybe 5,000 people know about it. You go in the Premier League, and before you come off the field of play, the whole world knows about it. So you've got to manage that. You've got to look at it. And I used to think, well, okay, I'll use the crowd as my coping mechanism was I can show you that I can actually do it. So I used their energy to energize me. I didn't try to silence them because there was no point. I just sort of internalized it and actually then moved on for that. And it helps if you've got a good, strong family unit. My family was brilliant. My friends were brilliant. I had a colleague, I was going to say a driver, but that's a bit pretentious. He just came and drove. Albert Smith, who the godfather to my son, and he drove everywhere. And he certainly brought your feet back on to the ground if ever you needed it.
Did you just batten down the hatches and not read papers and not listen to the radio and not watch TV?
Well, I don't get stressed and I don't worry about things.
So you would watch it then?
Well, I would watch it, but I don't worry about things that I can't affect. So I only do and concentrate about the things that I can affect, and I would do that positive. But if I needed to be fitter, then I go at training. If I needed to actually be more aware in terms of body language, if I needed to actually look at more videos as it was then, or anything like that, then I would do it. Anything I could do to affect my performance, I would do it. But I would not let anyone else knock my performance because that's their role.
But we're all human in any walk of life, and we all make mistakes. Most of us make mistakes in private, or we think, oh, we've done that wrong, but nobody else knows about it. Unless you're on Twitter, of course, when you make mistakes publicly all the time. What's it like? You will have made mistakes in your career, and you see it on TV. Are you cringing? Are you hiding behind the sofa? What are you doing?
Well, I didn't think it was personal, either for or against me. With regards to what I can't affect it. And you know straight away that you've made a mistake. It's like now, if there's a train of thought that we should be going down and we don't do it, we all know that we've come off script or got it wrong. So there's no point in actually saying that you don't. You can toe the party line by saying that I had to do it, but ultimately you know because your colleagues, your biggest judging more, because they will know, and it's like a team. When you referee, if you start the weekend on a Friday, you're opening the baton. If you then are the last referee on the Monday to then do the last game, you're the 11th man. So you're bringing the team home. So if the rest of your colleagues for that weekend have performed well, then that's the pressure that you put on yourself. Not the pressure of saying that you've got to be.
You're batting
honest.
for the team as almost number 11, last man in. And that's what people will remember.
Yeah, you're bringing the game, you're bringing the team home, and so therefore. You know that if you make a mistake, everyone else will know. But when you make that mistake, you cannot sort of say, it's as it is. You've got to internalise, you've got to deal with it, you've got to accept it and move on because you've got many, many more games coming in quick succession.
Would you not want to just, on a reflex, go out there and say, look, hands up, sorry, I've made a mistake?
No.
Which immediately removes the pressure, really, because people then say, it takes a big man to do that.
Well, my view is that you're making a mistake because there's a point of dispute. So when you've got that situation, you go 50% of the time it's going to be right, and other time it's not. For instance, I'll give you an example. I refereed a Football League game, well, on a Football League pitch, the FA Cup, and it was like that. And I went, toss the coin, heads or tails, and team won it, we want to turn around. The team that's kicking up said, we wanted to kick up because we wanted the win. I was blamed for just tossing the coin, just before a decision was made.
Came down the wrong way.
and so I'm being blamed. So therefore I go into that game thinking, well, everything I now do, they're going to say is my fault.
Yeah.
And
you're a season ticket holder at Old Trafford.
I am,
Simon.
yes, I am, yeah.
Uri here must have refereed many times in front of you at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
Can you think of anything?
No, it was just in the first half when you mentioned that, when you sort of lined me up for saying something. No, I can't honestly think of anything. I think your comment about a referee who liked to referee without being the centre of attention is very valid. I do recall that over the years, that he sort of got on with the game and just did as he's described there. But no, I try not to be one that criticises referees too much. I'm not just saying that. And we had the example.
Did you get on all right with Sir Alex?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The thing is that they've got a job to do. I've got a job to do. There's times when it's a theatre. He has to be seen to be doing things, and I have to be seen to be doing things. Yeah. And if the two clashes, then I'm always going to win, because it's either him or me, or whichever manager, and it's never going to be me, because I've got to make sure that whoever comes towards me and then leaves me with their dignity. I'm not quite so sure whether it's the other way around, but I will always maintain that. And with regards to other managers, they're all in it because they love football. We want to do things, we're passionate, we make mistakes and we get on with it. Yeah. With regards to why the referee shouldn't say sorry, well, the referee's always going to make a mistake. What's the point of saying sorry? Because if you want the referee to say sorry, you then know that there's a mistake, or you knew there was a mistake before. What is the point? What is the point to say, yeah, sorry? And how often can you say sorry?
I can understand that if you're having to say sorry a lot, you quickly lose credibility. I do understand that, but I suppose you could also argue that a top referee shouldn't have to say sorry too often.
No, but it's like anything else.
But sometimes he's going to explain something, and the pundits in the studio are going to say, "Oh, I never thought of that." He understands the laws. Sometimes pundits in studios don't understand the laws of the game, do they? And they unfairly criticise.
Maybe the explanation that the fans are after, rather than the saying sorry. I don't think a referee should say sorry, but if it's a decision where you've got four different pundits all saying something different, the referee can say, no, I gave it for this reason.
Or you can say, from my angle, it looked like that. Now I can accept that from another angle, which you haven't got.
Yeah.
The one example I would give, again, going back to the Man United, was against Sunderland this season, when there was John O'Shea and Wes Brown, and the dispute over which one should have been sent off. Now, I actually took the referee's side on that one, because from his angle, and I think he was right. You know, he could see the first contact. We were sitting around the other side of the incident, and you could see the player's reaction. But I don't think the referee could have given a different decision on that one, personally.
Well, no. And also, what is the point of looking at another angle if the referee's not got that angle? What justification is there?
Mind you, but with the TV, an extra official in the stand with a bank of monitors who can quietly have a word in the referee's ear can very quickly correct a mistake, I would have thought.
Well, you can, but some of the time you referee, the mode that you're refereeing is the mode that you allow the game to, the conduct you allow the game to progress. Yeah. So if I'm playing advantage and I'm seeing someone's and they're saying I want to play on, and the body language saying I wanted to play on, if I allow the game to go on and there's a foul, I might say play on. Yeah. But my colleagues in the stands would just see a cold picture one-on-one and say, no, that's a foul. Because I would say to you that how many times have you sat and saw the same still or the same picture in your living room, on your settee with whatever, a cup of tea or something from the brewery. Who was now sponsoring the football. And someone said it's a dive, the other one said it's a penalty.
True enough. Yeah, two different views on the same thing, and then they change their mind when they see yet another angle. Yeah. Uriah, you're also president of Hallam FC and have been for some time.
Yes.
Which is a role that I know you enjoy. And Hallam, well, in fact, my colleague here, James Gregg, has often talked about how Hallam have turned around the season this season. You're going to have a guy playing for you next year who we've had in the studio a couple of times, who got banned for.
It was
Jordan Turner.
Yeah, Jordan Turner, yeah.
And he had his ban reduced. I think it was
originally a 5
years.
Yeah.
And he's going to be playing for you next season. And I know that Ryan Hindley, the manager, who always watches this show, was saying to me, I'll sort him. I know how to deal with this lad. I know him. They get on very well together. He's going to sit on him, make sure. And Jordan himself in the studio has learned his lesson. But having you as president and being an ex-referee, is that going to be important as well, or useful?
We've got to be mindful that we provide playing opportunities for the players, but also we're an integral part of the community, and we want to encourage youngsters, we want to encourage football, we want to grow the game, we want to football. So we understand it's a competitive aspect of it. Ryan got his role to manage and to select the players as he wished, and I don't get involved in that at all. I mean, I support him, be part of that. With regards to what happened, the specific, I'm not fully aware of what it is, although I do have some knowledge of it. What I will say is that, irrespective of whether it's right or wrong, if it's about rehabilitation, then the system should allow him to actually progress. Now, I'm not saying it was right to actually do what it did against the official, or that the FA was right to give the initial sanction or not, but ultimately, if we can actually rehabilitate someone to change their behaviour and change what they do and how they do that, and show some issues, remorse, then that's what it's about. Equally, we shouldn't be reckless of saying just because someone's done something, give them another chance. There's sometimes some people don't deserve another chance. No. I'm not saying this is one of this, but I'm saying that each case on its merit. If we can get football and help him and enhance his life and add value and make sure that it comes out better for the experience.
I think he's a man that's learned his lesson from looking into his eyes here. I really sincerely am. You're not a man, Simon, that's learned his lesson at all. You're going to be out there I was going to say come rain or hail, but the worst thing you can possibly have is baking hot weather.
Yes, hopefully no hail. I think we've just in the last week gone past winter. A very hot day wouldn't be good for being out on our feet for probably 10 or more hours. But
I bet you enjoy it though, because it's healthy, fresh air. You've got a backpack full of food, haven't you?
Yeah, and my wife Rachel and the kids actually come out and do the support crew for us. So they'll come out and meet us at certain points throughout the route and bring all sorts of very healthy things such as sausage rolls and crisps and flat Coke, which again, beer afterwards, and beer the night before, possibly just to carb load properly. But so no, I'd prefer a nice sunny warm day than a horrible wet day, because it's a long slog.
Absolutely.
Especially in the Peak District. Absolutely. It's all off road, so it could get quite muddy if it doesn't dry up.
Do you think that they'll be running in Qatar?
In Qatar, I'm not sure that they can even run playing football in Qatar, can they? I'm not sure they'll be in Qatar.
I'm not sure they'll be in Qatar or Russia.
Wow.
Where will they be? You see that Macclesfield Town had put together a plan to stage the next World Cup or put a bid in.
Yeah, so they said that it should go to someone who's in a position of integrity or something. Actually.
Well, I think that possibly the lower you go in the game, the more integrity there is, as a rule of thumb. But
it might be that I have to have a word with our committee to see whether something that we ought to be looking to.
Expand the
I'm amazed you've not mentioned this before.
Well, the reason why
the world's oldest ground,
two oldest clubs in the world.
Well, the reason why, one of the reasons why, because I'm doing the walking football, but I'm also helping Alan with the the 13th of September in aid of Western Park, which is an event at Lees Hall. So once I've got that out of the way and all sorted out and getting involved and staff the phone at Lees Hall, then I will be able to actually put a bid in for you.
Right, okay.
World Cup bid.
An exclusive on Sheffield Live TV. You can watch this show again, by the way, at 11 p.m. tonight. It's repeated. It always looks better the second time around.
It does, yeah.
Does you agree with
I think so.
Yeah, people's jackets look better, look different the second time around. And don't forget those website addresses for Simon Walkden's Longest Day Run. It's just thelongestdayrun.com, is that right?
Longestdayrun.com.
Have a look at it, longestdayrun.com, or Google it, and take part in it. All ages can take part, as all ages can take part in the all-night walking football spectacular at Hillsborough Leisure Centre in Sheffield this Friday. It all kicks off with Uriah Rennie at 9. It always does kick off with Uriah Rennie, but it kicks off at 9 p.m. Take part in that. That's all for St Luke's Hospice, and certainly very, very worthwhile causes there. Next week on this show, I think I'm right in saying, but I just sort of wrote this down from memory, we have the Academy Manager of Sheffield United, Nick Cox, to talk about his role at Bramall Lane and at Shirecliffe on the show. And I think it's next week, might be the week after, we have lottery winner Karen Child. Now, Karen has devoted a lot of the money that she's won to supporting sporting causes. Chesterfield Football Club is one, close to my heart. She sponsors a stand there, and she also sponsors Sheffield Sharks. Thanks, Yuri. Thanks, Simon and James. See you next week. Thanks for your company.
Thank you. Bye.